we in Israel, I think, give large emphasis, especially like our generation, to the streamers. I think you are, Destiny, one of those big guys who did those great things. I think you have a big voice, and I think they are influencing the consciousness of other people in the world, in Israel. So you talked about one, or rather you talked about the neo-Nazis proclaimed guys, or the right-winged ultra guys. You insinuated or talked about that, and I want to bring somebody up who can be insinuated to that club, which is Nick Fuentes. And I want you maybe to give us your thought about how he views like the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, or what do you think about him rather? Because he goes against, and those are his main accusations that I'm reading, that there are war crimes that Israel does, blocking humanitarian aid, violating the Geneva Conventions, the planned annexation that Israel does.
But that's not even the big claim, right?
Yeah,
the big claim is that the influential Jews are running America's foreign affairs.
All those people with the big noses. Yeah. So what do you think about that, Stephen? What do you think about Nick?
I don't. My takes on Nick go back and forth. I felt like he. I mean, we're all men here, and I would never say this when I was younger. Okay, but as a young man, you're far more militant. You're far more extremist, and nothing in my mind. A young man doesn't want to hear anything less than being told that because he's young, he's more radical or whatever. But I feel like Nick definitely started off as like an insane neo-Nazi, and I feel like as he's grown, especially as he got more politically effective, I think he tried to moderate his audience a bit, but then there's this rapper called Kanye West, and he's fucking crazy. And Nick saw the opportunity to run off with him, and he did this whole "I love Hitler" thing, and that was weird. I feel like as Nick comes back, I don't consume as much of his content, but I feel like it's more of kind of the standard-ish, like isolationist bend. I like to be careful with the way that I define political groups in the United States. I'm a very strong center-left person. We have this group of people like socialists or tankies that I think are different. I think that those people have a scarier view, I would say, on Israel. Like in my mind, when you get like these very far right isolationist types that might even be crazy anti-Semitic, like the big anti-Semitic complaints are going to be that Jews are in control of America, and maybe at their worst, we have to get every Jew out of the United States. But I feel like the very far left, like the socialist commie types, especially the ones that are kind of weirdly beholden sometimes to, I won't say the Arab world, but they have this concept of imperialism in the West, and they're with everybody who's against that, right? Because I won't say the Arab world because they hate the Saudis, right? But they love anybody that's like represents anti-American imperialism. Like those people wouldn't just say we need to cast all the Jews out of America. They would say we need like violent regime change in Israel. They would take it a step further. They would go way further. Whereas like I think that your neo-Nazi types in the U.S., if we were to, I don't think a neo-Nazi type in the US would ever say, we need to go blow up Israel and get rid of them. They would just say, I don't want anything to do with the Jews and make them stop controlling everything in my country or whatever. But like the very, very far left crazy people would be like, we need to go to Israel and we need to take that land back and give it back to the oppressed people, which I think is kind of crazy. But both of these are still relatively fringe ideas, just because in general, all of the older people in the US kind of like Israel on the left and right. So it's that stuff doesn't bubble up as much. It does on social media, but not really in the elected political world.
Not yet, at least. But Duran, if you can answer, if you can answer to what do you think about Fuentes?
What I think about
I want to, but a short one, sure.
So no, I would just first of all like to say that Destiny's take on the tankies and socialists was quite insightful. Thank you for that, for how they would treat Israel differently than the classic right-wing anti-Semitic folks. About
a short answer, not a long one.
I don't really have a lot to say,
He has a beautiful hair, if you want to say that.
Yeah. Okay. Nick, you have a very nice hair that's coming from a Jew without hair. So